Two, check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good evening, everyone. Good evening and welcome to the first meeting of the Greenleigh Community Boundary Study. We're here at Vincent Farm Elementary School in the cafeteria, and welcome to our committee members. Welcome to any observers. I don't think we have any at this time, but should we have any observers join us this evening, you're welcome to sit at the observers table or any of the observers chairs. And let me advance my slide here. There we go. We invite our folks joining us here in the cafeteria. Please take a moment to sign in. If you have a moment, I believe we have green sheets for our committee members and pink sheets for our observers. In case of emergency that we should have to evacuate the cafeteria for any reason, we would use those sheets for accountability. Please take a moment to check your exits. Our exits are through the rear and back through the front of the school, the way to the main entrance, or we can use the side door here out to the side parking lot, are our quickest exits. Restrooms are available just outside the cafeteria doors, should you need to avail yourselves to them. Throughout the night, should you have any questions, look for our BCPS staff members. We're wearing orange-colored badges, and we can certainly help you out. Our meeting tonight, all the materials that are presented here can be found on our website. We have a website dedicated to this boundary study at www.bcps.org. And at the bottom of that page, there's a link to boundary studies and a further link on that table to Greenleigh Community Boundary Study. All materials are posted the following day. All maps, all examples of committee work will all be posted there. That's also where observers and members of the public can comment on the process, throughout the process, through the duration of the committee meetings, and we will send email reminders to our committee members as to where they can find those comments throughout the process. We are live streaming this evening for those of you who can't join us in person. Thank you to our BCPS-TV crew. And what that means for live streaming, committee members, should you have any comments throughout the evening, please raise your hand to be recognized, and we'll be around with a microphone so that we can capture your voice for the live stream. And again, should any observers be joining us this evening, please be mindful of the role of observers. Observers are welcome to observe the process, but we do request that you observe the same decorum that's expected in Board of Education meetings. That is, observers, please do not approach committee members at their work table up front or interfere with the committee members in any way. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our Director of Strategic Planning, Mr. Paul Taylor.
Thank you, Chris. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I'm going to go over the introductions and the agenda for the evening. When we do these boundary studies, we have a lot of support. The main office that's responsible is the Office of Strategic Planning, so I'm going to first introduce us. I'm Paul Taylor, the Director of the Office of Strategic Planning. Melissa Appler is the coordinator. Mike Gottfredson is the specialist, and Chris Percato is also the specialist. We have other offices here that support us, and I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves. We have someone representing early childhood.
Andrea Darian from the Office of Early Childhood. I'm here because everyone's so excited about pre-K expansion, so if you have any pre-K questions, I'm happy to help.
Thank you. Educational Opportunities and Services.
Good evening. I'm Brian Stoll. I'm the coordinator for magnet programs for Baltimore County Schools, and if you have any questions about what our office does, I'd be happy to answer those.
Thank you. Special Education.
Jason Karolkowski, Senior Project Specialist for the Department of Special Education. I'm here to answer any questions you might have about regional service delivery models and special education in general.
Thank you. Student Support Services.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Trish Mustapher. I'm the Director of Student Support Services. We cover everything to support your child, from enrollment, school counseling, psychological, social work services, as well as pupil personnel services. I welcome any questions this evening.
Thank you. Transportation.
Good evening, Kenny West from the Department of Transportation. We're here to answer any questions you may have about buses. And also we have our director, Kim Kerr, so any questions you can ask Kim.
Department of Schools.
Thanks. Good evening, Eric Wilson, Executive Director, and I serve and support schools, elementary schools in the east side of our district, primarily Chase. And my counterpart will be here momentarily, but if you have any questions about our schools and ways that we can support, we're here to answer those questions.
Thank you. And Communications and Community Outreach.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Charles Herndon. I'm here with the Office of Communications. We're here to support you and the Office of Strategic Planning with all things related to communications, including our friends here with BCPS-TV, and also another colleague of mine, Sue Hahn, who is running a little bit behind. She's with the Office of FACE, which is Family and Community, I can't remember what, engagement, thank you. So she'll be here shortly, and we're here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Any other offices that I missed?
Keith Lewis, Office of Equity and Cultural Proficiency, working on the east side, and I'm here this evening to ensure, or just to make sure that we have an equity lens as we look at the many considerations.
Thank you all for being here. Next slide. All right, the agenda for this evening. We're going to go over the process that we're going to utilize for this study, the timeline of that process, your role as committee members, and the objective of the study. We're also going to do an overview of the recommendation report that's in your binder. It's a lot of data, a lot of information. We're going to review that with you so you understand what's in there. Then we're going to have a group activity. You're going to meet as a group and talk about the information that's in there. And then afterwards, you're going to report out so that the public can understand what you discussed, what some of your concerns are. Again, this is live streamed. It's also recorded. So the only thing that will be recorded is what goes in the mic. So we want to make sure that we report out as a summary of what you discuss as a group. And then the main objective is to approve an option to go to a public information session. So this is the committee meeting. The next meeting will be a public information session where the public is invited to interact with you and talk about the option. There'll be a survey after that, and then you will get the results of that survey. You'll meet a third time, and then you'll make a decision of what to recommend to the Board of Ed. And the last, and so that Mike Gofferson is going to go into more detail about each one of those agenda items.
Thanks, Paul. Good evening, everybody. Just to go through a few things. So you guys all got your binders there. Some of you noticed the PowerPoint's in there. At the very beginning, you also notice the policy in Rule 1280 is in there. That's the rule that guides any boundary study, whether it be large or small, like this one. The rules are the same, though we can modify some things a little bit as far as like the number of meetings, et cetera. We still have to have a committee and do some of these things. And so this is what the rule and policy is. This is driven by the community committee of the principals are from each school, a teacher or staff member from each school, and then 2 parents from each school. And then there's, as you go through this, you'll review a bunch of data, look at any options that you guys come up with, collaborate and deliberate among yourselves, and then engage with the community to get their feedback, and then finally provide a recommendation to the board who will make the decision. This is the calendar. Paul mentioned the 2 meetings coming up after this one, the public information session, the associated survey, and then the meeting 3. In the spring, there'll be the board meetings associated with this process, recommendation in April, the public hearing in May, and then the board decision at the end of May. Again, we have few meetings, few members as well, because we just have 2 schools, so your attendance is important because you're noticed when you're not here. So we appreciate you all being here tonight. As we go through the process, there's primary and secondary considerations. The 2 primary considerations are efficient use of capacity in affected schools and maintaining or increasing the diversity among schools to reflect the diversity of the region and the school system. So whenever we're reviewing the options or any of the options or any boundary change, these are kind of the first things we look at. How does this utilize the space in the schools, and how does this affect the diversity of the schools? These are secondary considerations. This is some examples of them. There may be other ones that may be appropriate for certain study. Not all these may necessarily apply to every study, but these are just some examples of things that you would want to do. Again, Paul mentioned the deliberations. We just want to have rational basis between the reasons why we're doing things. Just reviewing the committee, we mentioned the principals. For this study, we've got 9 members. The principals, teachers, parents, area advisory council chair as well. Just a couple notes as we talk about this. As a member of the committee, we ask you, most importantly, to suspend any parochial interest. So while on your name badge it says which school you're representing, you're not like a delegate of that school trying to fight for your school or your neighborhood or anything like that. We're just asking you to look at what's best for all the kids. So that's really the main thing we ask of you as a committee member. And then secondly, just that any deliberations take place here, not before or after the meeting where you actually make up your mind. So we just want everyone to be able to see when you make a recommendation, they can understand clearly this is what they were thinking, this is why they did it, and not be wondering, wonder if they talked about this outside, and that's really why they made their decision. So we just want everyone to be able to know kind of why you made your decision the way you did. Let's see, there we go. And then some ways that we can, we look to engage the community. Chris mentioned the website. It's got all the information there. We have the QR codes here for the website, as well as on the website there's a comment form that people can fill out to express their ideas about things. Just a note, these are done verbatim, so we don't filter these. So anyone that provides information, if anyone asks you about putting stuff on there, we just ask that you avoid putting too much personal information on there, because we provide it both to you as a committee as well as to the public in general. They're able to attend any of these meetings, view the recordings or the live stream, attend the public information session, participate in the survey, and attend the board public hearing. Let's see here. And then just one last thing about how we assure equity and accessibility throughout the process. We have an interpreter here tonight for anyone that needs Spanish interpretation services. Any other languages people need, we can provide those upon request. We can provide translation of materials upon request, and then the survey will be translated, we'll mention at the end of the meeting, in multiple languages that we send out the parent engagement letters in. And then just finally, just refer to policy 0100, equity, for more information on the system's commitment to equity. All right, and then with that, Melissa will walk you through the details of this particular study and the data.
So the Greenleigh residential development is currently under construction. Currently, it is divided between the 2 school boundaries. There's a portion of it that is split. So the purpose or objective of this boundary study is to realign that boundary so the entire community goes to 1 school. And the boundary currently splits between Chase and Vincent Farm Elementary Schools. Right now, this is a development plan map that is off of the developer's website, and we added this purple line here so you can see where the development is split. It kind of goes, the line goes through houses that are being developed along Greenleigh Avenue, and then splits off down through this house as well. So that portion attends Chase, and all of that attends Vincent Farm currently. Here's another map just showing a zoom in of those streets. This is Camden Street that they're building on, and then Greenleigh Avenue where it splits those parcels. So it's still currently under construction. We've driven through there. There are some houses under development, but there are no students currently residing in the area. There's about 105 residential units in that portion, in that split portion, that are zoned to Chase Elementary School, but no students currently reside or attend any of the schools in that area. So the objective is to also try to get this boundary study through before we impact any students. There are some transportations here. I'd like to introduce Kenny West to talk about transportation. You want me to?
Good evening again. So currently our we have a single bus that comes in and it services this community. So again, as Melissa stated, the goal would be to have uniformity amongst the community so that all students are going to the same school. If not, then I'm not sure how you would split houses, but we would ultimately have one bus coming in for Vincent Farm and then another bus coming in for Chase if it were left as is. So, any questions? I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Okay, so the recommended boundary option that you'll see in your option report is to move the boundary south to include the entire development of the Greenleigh development within Vincent Farm Elementary School. This would keep the continuity of the neighborhood, implement a solution before students move in, and provides a more efficient transportation for the unbuilt area. One important thing is all of this, so when you look in your option report, there's going to be some utilization tables in there, but I'm going to get to those in a minute. So all of the Greenleigh development has always been included in the 10-year enrollment projections for Vincent Farm Elementary School. So when they assigned the development and did the projections, it was always assumed to all go to Vincent Farm Elementary School. So when you look at those kinds of numbers, they're already in there. The development currently includes 1,434 residential units were proposed. 896 were already built as of July 2024. 680 residential units are remaining in that development, and 105 of them are in that Chase portion for the phases that are currently in that plan. And then the potential student yield, which comes from our yield factors, there was 90 elementary school student yield and 19 within those 105 residential units that are in Chase. So the total remaining units to be built in the whole entire development is 680. But the area that's currently zoned for Chase is only 105 units. And in those 105 units, they are expected to have 19 elementary students.
I should report that we put this whole thing together weeks ago, maybe a month ago. I drove by there on my way here. There's houses being built where there were none when we first put this together.
Yeah, so they're going up fast. This shows the utilization table of so this has the state rated capacity, which is the number of students a school can hold, the number of seats that they have, number of students that could go there, the actual September 30th, 2023 enrollment, and the utilization of the two schools at that time, which was 102 and 107%. And then we gave you the projected utilization just so you can see the direction that both schools are going in. And again, it's important to recognize, like, this information's in your option report, but there's no change in this utilization because all of the entire development is in with Vincent Farm, so that 132% projected utilization. It's all already in Vincent Farm.
Is this for next year's population? Is that what we're looking at for the boundary study? Would this start next year?
Yes, the implementation would be next year.
Okay.
As I mentioned, the utilization tables are in this option report. Also within the option report are the current demographics for both schools, so you can review that. There are full maps showing the impacted area. There's a map showing the development with the full, so you can see where in the full scale of the elementary boundary that this development is and how close they are to this, to the different schools. So there's maps at the back that show those. It's the elementary, middle, and high school maps. Additional transportation information. There's no impact on walk boundaries or anything like that. And then feeder pattern tables so you can see where the different developments go for middle and high school. And there's no middle or high school change. There's no split. They are still 100% feeders to where they were going. So there's no change in those boundaries. So now at this time, I'm going to give you a few minutes to review, or some time to review, the recommendation report. And then we're going to ask you to discuss as a group the recommended option in the context of the boundary study objectives that were presented and the primary and secondary considerations that I believe are on page 6 or PowerPoint slides 6 and 7, so you can look at those there. And think about when you're talking as a group about, does the recommended option meet the boundary study objectives? How does the recommended option address the primary and secondary consideration? And is this the best solution to address the objective? And we're going to ask you, there's a sheet here on your table, and if you can, it has the objective and then the boundary study considerations. If you guys just if you want to, jot down some of your thoughts, and then we'll come back together and report out your thoughts on the recommended option.
All right. So thanks, everybody. That was a good discussion. Thanks, Kenny and everyone, for helping out. We just want to take a minute now before we move into doing some decisions. If anyone would be willing to just kind of summarize briefly some of the thoughts you guys had, and then we'll kind of roll from there. No, you're fine.
We did discuss quite a few things looking at some of the objectives that were on here, and some of our concerns that we discussed were bus transportation, too many people on buses, the possibility of splitting buses or adding buses in. We also addressed the concerns that had to do with other communities being built as well, but we do understand that's an entirely separate issue when looking at the 10-year projected span of the buildings. That's entirely different. We do recognize the importance of a whole community staying together instead of being separated, and looking to do what's for the good of the group for communities and school all together. So that's the majority of what we were taking a look at.
Very good. Anyone have anything to add on? Good. All right. Yes, you did an excellent job there. All right. So what we're going to do real quick now is hand out these ActiVote devices to our, dropping that one, to our non-principals. So here you go. I think we'll just have 4. We need to hand out Melissa, so. All right, so what we're going to do with this, just as Chris pulls this up, so we're like one of the few places that still use the ActiVote. We actually love the ActiVotes because they work really well for this. We can scale them either with small groups. We had like 60 we were doing in the central area last year. So it works really well to kind of reach consensus on things. So what we're going to ask you to do, so on the back of your device, there's a little sticker that has the numbers. You can make sure that your thing got recorded. So if you're comfortable sending the recommended option to the public information session next month, go ahead and press A. If no, then press B. So we just have 1 through 6 up here. So we got, so just go ahead and click in. If you want to gray out 5 and 6, Chris, do you see how to do that? And then 7 got ungrayed. All right, everybody's in there, so go ahead and close that, Chris. Say no. I think we're fine. There we go. Yeah, I think we just did. Go back to the thing, Chris. Go to the, let's just try that one more time, just for my sake. 21 is undone. There we go. Good eyes, good eyes. Yeah, 21 right there, Chris. All right, let's try that one more time, just for my sanity. All right, and then 4. There we go. All right, now close that. Let's see if that works. There we go. Perfect. Awesome. All right, go back to the PowerPoint. Before we let you go, just to talk through a couple things real quick. I've got my clicker here. So public information session, this will be Thursday, October 17th, back here. Oops, we got through quick there. So we'll be back in here, it'll be as long as we need it to be, because we lost our thing there, but that's all right. Got it from memory. So we'll be here. We've got scheduled for an hour. If we don't need that full time, we won't take that full time. So we'll just hopefully have some folks come. We can talk to them about that. We'll have a little station up in the back or on the side somewhere with the little maps. We can talk to people about what the process is, what's going on, why we're doing this, et cetera. We'll also use that as an opportunity to kick off the online survey. So that'll be available. And then if you guys can just show up a little bit beforehand so we get you oriented with what's going on. Again, we may or may not have huge masses of people here, but otherwise we'll just get you here, talk you through it. And then we'll take the feedback from that night, we'll take the feedback from the survey, we'll provide you the results from the survey. Then when we meet again in November for the last meeting, we'll then give you the results from that and talk through it and make your recommendation that will then be submitted to the board in the spring. All right, anyone have any questions before we let you go? All right, thanks again for being here. We know it's a sacrifice to spend some time with us, but we appreciate you looking out for the kids.